Waking you up early in the morning, Las Vegas, all my sports bettors around the world. So glad you're tuned in with me. JB the Ticket, Vegas Scoreboard Express. Back at you, Week 15 NFL picks are on deck. And I've got him on the line with me, my main man, Scotty Beam him up Webb from MLB-Daily.com. Good morning, Scotty. How you doing?
Hey, man, I am doing great. We survived the storm last night, and everything's all good.
That's what I'm talking about. Congratulations for that, surviving that storm, getting into the NFL picks in just a minute. Wanted to wake you guys up yesterday. Had a couple of college football picks come through for us. We told you guys to take Fresno State. Shout out to John Ryan, Predictive Sports Betting Playbook. He may be stopping by later on today. My main man, Ronnie B, told you guys to take UCLA yesterday. Money line. They were able to get it done, beating Boise State. But unfortunately, I thought the dog was barking, and they got me the third time in the season. Miami, oh no, of Ohio. Not putting them back on the betting list. They lost to Appalachian State 9-13 in the under. So, Scotty, we're jumping into some NFL action today. We've got your Tampa Bay Buccaneers heading up to Green Bay. The Battle of the Bays, man, we're going to be talking about it. Not too sure how we're going to see that one pan out, but both teams are still in that wild card playoff hunt, and we'll talk a little bit about the NFL recaps from the Saturday games. That's right. Yesterday, if you went to my website, jbtheticket.com, and you picked up those plays, you were able to get you paid with the money line play and the spread play for the Detroit Lions. So, Scotty, give a couple of quick shout-outs. Getting ready to chomp at the bit, my man, and lock it in for Week 15 in the NFL. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, I want to just say, hey, it's officially bowl season with, 7 games yesterday or something like that. So I think coming up this week, there's a bowl game every week or every day. So just be ready to go and have some fun with that.
That's right. Be ready to go. Have some fun with it. Watch the games on Fubo TV. Go to FuboTV.com/JB, giving you 15% off and 7 days free. So when I get back from this short commercial break, we're jumping into it. Week 15 NFL, guys. Grab your bankroll. It's time to hit the window and beat the line with JB the Ticket and Vegas Scoreboard Express. Let's get the money.
You're listening to the boss of the big ball, JB the Ticket, Vegas Scoreboard Express, giving you that grease.
Skip your cable bill this month. Enjoy the action with JB and Fubo TV. Get 7 days free, 15% off your first month. No credit check, no deposit, no installation hassle. Go to FuboTV.com/JB. Sign up, download the app, and start watching games.
Enjoy being a subscriber after the first month. Easy cancellation anytime. Regional restrictions apply. Sign up at VegasScoreboardExpress.com.
You're tuned into the VSX Digital Sports Network. You're listening to the boss of the big ball, JB the Ticket.
More fire, more heat.
Vegas Scoreboard. Turn that shit up.
That's right, waking you right back up. JB the Ticket, Vegas Scoreboard Express. Scotty Beam him up Webb, East Coast Sports Investors, MLBDaily.com. This is where you want to be to put the cash in your pocket each and every Saturday and Sunday, going until the NFL end of season Super Bowl special coming up. KSHP Live. You guys are going to stay with us here. Follow me on Instagram at JB the Ticket. So I've got him on the line with me. Scotty Beam him up Webb. So glad to have you back, man. Today we are talking NFL Week 15. Can you believe it? It's Week 15 already, man. Week 15 already. We've got a lot of teams vying for wild card hunts. Some teams still tottering on that kind of middle of the ground. Like, do you want to be a winner or do you want to be a loser? And we're here to talk about it today. Again, follow Scotty over on the X-Bird at Webby20MLB. So, Scotty, let's talk about some of the things that you've seen in the NFL this year. Big theme for me has been the theme of the backup quarterback. The backup quarterback has been absolutely everything to the NFL this year. And, you know, rookies getting mixed with into that. But go ahead, your thoughts.
Yeah, I think that there's been a couple things, right? I think quarterbacks and injuries and theoretically just bad overall quarterback play. I mean, you only have a few quarterbacks in the whole league that are doing really well. And then secondly, I think that there's been a lot of questionable, I would say, referee decision making and so forth. So, and that has impacted some of these games. So, I think when you start to look at it, it's become a little bit difficult to kind of figure out exactly where things are going to fall and how things are going to play out. Just because, you look at, okay, well, what's going to happen with the quarterbacks, and then who's going to play, and then secondly, what kind of decisions are going to be made by referees and what flags they throw, which ones they don't.
Right.
Somebody call.
It has been a rough season. A lot of rule changes. Some things have been moving around the league. Let's talk a little bit about, though, we mentioned the quarterback play. Over the past 4 or 5 seasons, we've seen it. We saw it happen last year. Top first 5 picks, all quarterbacks. We've got one quarterback proving his mettle, and that's C.J. Stroud, Ohio State product. Will Levis is finally getting a chance to show what he can do for a 5-8 Titans team that probably, if you're going to go 5-8, you probably should have started him in the beginning. And then you move around the league. The Arizona Cardinals, who knows what's going on with those guys? My God. Okay. Trading away backup quarterbacks who are starting now for other teams. We saw the Vikings yesterday. Let's take a look at some of the action that went down yesterday in the NFL. It was a couple of Saturday games. Thursday again, you saw the Raiders take out the LA Chargers 63-21. Let's hope the Raiders didn't blow their whole wad on scoring, though, because they rolled a donut the Sunday before, came back in a short week, and then just really ran pretty much the whole offensive playbook. We saw Minnesota yesterday lose to the Cincinnati Bengals 24-27. And then right after that, here comes the drug test for Jake Browning. So it has been quite an eventful NFL season. The Pittsburgh Steelers, these guys are imploding. I kind of mentioned it. I didn't harp on it throughout the season. And Scotty, I'll let you get your thoughts on this. Pittsburgh, Mike Tomlin, is it time to move on? Belichick, those are the last two guys. Belichick in New England, Tomlin in Pittsburgh. Time for some new blood under center, right? Somebody's got to step up within those organizations and find that next big head coach. The NFL, in my opinion, is going through transition with star players, star head coaches, and just the way the league is being perceived. But go ahead.
Yeah, I think that those are two different situations there in Pittsburgh and in New England. New England is, it's Bill Belichick's world, right? He runs everything there. I mean, he controls his roster, and he controls the players, and he controls the offense, defense, whatever. It all goes through him. And I think that his time in that town has pretty much run out. The way I see it is that he just doesn't have the talented players and the quarterbacks or whatever to get it done. So I think it is time for him to go. But the different situation in Pittsburgh, Mike Tomlin's the coach, and they have a general manager, and he's the one who sets the roster. So when it comes to what Mike Tomlin can do, he's only allowed to do with what he has. And, he's smoke and mirrors this year, but my gosh, if that's what it takes, that's what it takes. And I think that they've done pretty well for who they are and what they are. And, even yesterday's game, they got off to a start where they were ahead 13-0. And then that's all they scored. But, they're running out Mitchell Trubisky. So, that is what it is. So I kind of think that they're two different spots. I don't think Pittsburgh's in such a bad way that they don't, that Tomlin has to go. I think that they just need, Kenny Pickett was somebody they drafted, and I don't think he's going to be the guy that they hoped he would be. And they have got some running backs there, but I don't think those running backs have turned into Franco Harris or whatever. So I think it's one of those spots where Mike Tomlin still has the locker room.
Right.
And in New England, I think that because Bill Belichick is so good at defense, I think the defensive side of the ball, those guys are kind of bought into what he's doing, and their defense has been playing really good. But the offense is just, you can't win football games in the NFL anymore without offense, and that offense needs to be totally blown up.
Danger, danger, danger.
You already know. Let's talk about another game yesterday. The resurgent Denver Broncos went out to Detroit and got mollywopped 42-17. Let's talk a little bit about them in this AFC West. The AFC West is kind of wide open. Big matchups coming up on December 25th. The Raiders, Kansas City Chiefs. Not going to get too much into it, but this is the one division in football where anyone can go to the playoffs. Kansas City, you mentioned it a couple of weeks ago. Last week, they are beatable. Very beatable. Okay, Detroit improved. Dan Campbell said, hey, look, I got to get a little bit more angry. I got to be a little more irritable. So he was able to bring these guys out, and they were able to increase and improve their scoring. Amon St. Brown, this guy jumped up, did the front flip in the end zone, got these guys some awesome highlights and scores. But talking about it from, I know it's early, but Super Bowl perspective, who do you think is maybe a dark horse just out of all the teams? I know it's late, but if you take a look at some of the records, some of the play calling, coaching issues, who do you think is one of the teams that could possibly come out on top at the end of the year? Go ahead.
Well, it's kind of hard to say because, in the AFC, it's kind of wide open, and your best teams are, Baltimore, I think, and Miami, something like that.
Right.
So when you're looking at those two teams, Miami, I don't think has beaten a good team yet as much, and Baltimore is just one of those teams that is very difficult to beat because they don't look so great on offense sometimes, but their defense keeps them in every game.
Right.
So when you sit there and you think about it, and you go, okay, yeah, Kansas City's beatable, Jacksonville's obviously beatable. The Browns have a great defense, and now you're starting to talk about teams that are 8-5, 8-6, those kind of teams. But can they really beat Baltimore? Can they beat Miami? If you don't have an offense to keep up, your problem's going to be that you can't get anywhere. But what's going on in Cincinnati right now is amazing to me. This is a team that lost Joe Burrow, and now all of a sudden they got Jake Browning in there, and they're scoring 30 points a game and throwing the ball all over the place and winning games. So, if this team can find a defense, who wants to play Cincinnati in the playoffs? Because Cincinnati can almost beat anybody. So I kind of like the idea. If you wanted to take a flyer on somebody and you wanted to get good value, maybe Cincinnati's that team.
He's telling you the Cincinnati Bengals are going to try to make it a three-peat to that AFC Championship game this year and get over the hump, but Miami's going to be clearly standing in their way. Scotty, beam him up, Webb, MLB-daily.com. Thank you so much for being on the show. We're going to have you there with us, bringing him on next with you to talk these NFL picks. Ronnie B. from Las Vegas, JBTheTicket.com. So, Scotty, give you a couple of shout-outs. I'm going to give a shout-out, one to my main man, Pop DiBiase, and Jeff Dawson. Jeff, you got to beat that COVID, man. Got to beat that COVID, man. Praying for you. Hopefully that you get back on the line. He said he'll be back in a couple of weeks. And again, also, my main man, Damon. Used to work with him. San Diego, Vegas living. Appreciate you listening and supporting JB the Ticket and the show and all that I've been doing over the years. And we're going to be rocking with you as well. So, Scotty, take this quick shout out. I'll take a break, and I'm bringing him on. Ronnie B. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to make another shout out to my doctors. On Tuesday of this week, I was in the hospital again, and they put another stent in my heart. So I have 3 new stents in my heart in the last 3 weeks, 4 weeks. So whatever it is, what it is, they're keeping me alive and keeping me going on, and I just want to make sure they know they're appreciated.
Well, Scotty, you appreciate it. Your doctors are greatly appreciated. Your voice is being heard all around the world. 107.1 FM here in Las Vegas, AM 1400 as well. KSHP.com, JBTheTicket.com, VegasScoreboardExpress.com, and of course, VSX Digital Sports Networks, my company, production, making it happen. Mark Hayes here, station director at KSHP Las Vegas. Appreciate your support. So when we get back from this short commercial break, we're not going to give Scotty B any heart attacks with our picks. We're going to give you guys some big cash for your pocket, so grab your bankrolls. Let's get ready. Ronnie B is coming up next. Let's get the money.
You're listening to the boss of the big board, JB the Ticket.
Basketball season is heating up, so stay in the game with Fubo TV. Get the NBA, NCAA, FIBA, and more. Get 7 days free at VegasScoreboardExpress.com. Don't get cabled. Get Fubo TV.
Hungry for the best barbecue in Las Vegas? Come out to the infamous barbecue and meat market, John Mole's Meats and Roadkill Grill in Las Vegas. John Mole's was featured on the Food Network's Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives. Now take home delicious meat selections for your grill, and while you're there, grab a bite of the best barbecue in Las Vegas. With 2 locations now at Tom and Gowan or on North Decatur, you're sure to find the perfect meats for your next barbecue or party. Find us online at johnmolemeats.com.
Kick off the football season with Drizzly.com. Score big with your favorite drinks delivered right to your doorstep. From ice cold brews to game day cocktails, we've got the perfect lineup for your football gatherings. Visit VegasScoreboardExpress.com and click the Drizzly. Now let's get the party started. Drink responsibly. Must be of legal drinking age. Delivery and availability may vary.
More fire, more heat.
You're listening to the boss of the big ball, JB the Tech Act. Giving you that grit. Vegas Scoreboard Express. Always spitting that explosive fire.
JP the Ticket, Vegas Scoreboard Express, back with my cohorts. Scotty, beam him up, Webb, East Coast Sports Investors, MLBDaily.com. And he's on the line with me, Ronnie B from JBTheTicket.com, hooking you guys up with the picks this morning. Ronnie B, good morning to you. How are you? You gave out the Lions yesterday at the end of the show, and clearly it put cash in people's pockets. You told them to take the over and take the Lions money line. Good morning to you.
Good morning, JB. Yeah, we had a good day with that NFL.
Yeah, yesterday it was weird because I didn't even realize there were Saturday games on. Had a lot going on this week, man, and I was just like, okay, we're finishing out holiday season here, trying to get ready for the next season. Also got the Super Bowl, the big game here in Las Vegas at Allegiant Stadium. Hopefully the Raiders can pull out that wild card. In the beginning of the year, I did the show. Shout out my main man, Daryl Harris, CBS 8 here in Las Vegas, KLAS. He's got his show, D-Hoop University, or the D-Hoops University. And I was on his podcast, and I was talking about the Raiders, have to do what they need to do to win. So let's talk a little bit about that win here in Las Vegas. Hey, Ronnie, last Thursday, the Raiders in Allegiant, they played lights out, but I want to talk about something that a colleague of mine spoke about in that game with the LA Chargers. Said the LA Chargers just laid down and died. He said they came in, they didn't have any fire, and they were ready to pretty much say, look, let's pack it in. There was the coaching change again. They fired Coach Staley right after the game. So you talk about that situation. The Raiders went through it earlier in the season with Josh McDaniels, and now the LA Chargers. Can you give the Raiders credit for that win, that scoring output, the way they were able to score in every quarter, 21 in the first, 21 in the second? I mean, these guys were up 42-0 in the first half. You know what I mean? Now, we have seen the Raiders do some good things over the past couple of years, some really surprising money line wins, but it got me thinking, because when I was talking to my colleague, he understands football, knows some of the people in and around these teams out here out west. And he basically said, look, JB, go back, look at the game, take a look at the way the Chargers were walking, to the huddle, walking to the sideline, walking off of the field. There seemed to be a sense of lackadaisicalness that was especially in the first half. I mean, the game, for all intents and purposes, was over. But then you look at the second half, and I think guys were playing for personal pride in Charger land, maybe playing for some free agency, getting some good tape, but they were able to rattle off 21 points. So when you talk about it from that perspective, do you think that this Raiders win this past Thursday was a legitimate win? I mean, yes, it's on the win column. They have a chance in an angel's prayer to get a wild card. We saw Kansas City lose their past week. They're on the dock today with New England. But back to Vegas. Was that a legit win? And will we see them continue with the opening up of the playbook going forward? And Scotty, I'll have you weigh in after Ron. Go ahead.
I'll tell you what, JB, it was an entertaining game if you were a Raiders fan, but it was also, like you said, the first half was they were walking through the motions. The Chargers have given up. They gave up on that coach probably 2-3 weeks ago, if not sooner. I wouldn't put too much emphasis into the Raiders' victory. Yes, it was enjoyable, but I'll tell you what, I left the game at halftime. It was a sleeper. And I don't put too much stock into the Raiders. I want to see what they do next week, if they can follow up with that emotion. But the Chargers are done. They're done for the year.
All right, the Chargers, they cut off the power. Now, going over to you, Scotty, you talk about what Ronnie said, the Raiders, can they continue to maintain that type of dominant offensive performance? Again, what worries me, second half, 21 points were let on the board. In a tight game, 21 points could typically mean a loss. The Raiders did 3 times their typical output this season. Normally, they're under 20-point scoring team. That's why the record is the way it is. Solid defense. Defense stepped up the second half. Guys, in a blowout, second-string guys get in and change. But we've seen this across the board. The Raiders also with a backup quarterback. Shout out Aiden O'Connell. We were the first show and probably the only show to give him a lot of grease when he first came into the league. And we saw that he's capable of being accurate. He's capable of putting points on the board. So again, Scotty, the question to you is, and we'll jump into your Tampa Bay, Green Bay game right after this comment. Do you think the Raiders win this past Thursday can be a legitimate starting point to try to win out the next 3 games at the end of the season? Or was that, like my colleague said, Chargers laid down, second half played for pride? Go ahead.
Well, I think it's a combination of the things. So you don't always get a lot of times where one team is going to get 5 turnovers against 0, right? So they have a net 5 turnovers game for the Raiders. And that's not, the biggest thing about that though is all those turnovers were theoretically almost all of them right in Charger territory. So they didn't have very far to go.
Right.
So you don't have to produce much offense to score many points. And there was actually 2 special teams or defensive touchdowns in that game. So they got 14 points off of that. And then they got short fields most of that game. So if you really look at the total yardage in the game, the Raiders had 378 yards and the Chargers 326. So that's not really like, okay, totally dominant the game. It's just how the game played out in the sense that, the Chargers just gave the Raiders the ball and the Raiders only had to go 30 yards, 20 yards to 4 points.
Right. That makes a lot of sense.
I think a lot of NFL teams can do that, even if you're not the greatest offense in the world. Now, can the Raiders build upon something like that? Maybe so. I don't know, but I don't think it means that they're fixed, if that's the question, right? Like, are the Raiders fixed and they're one of the top-notch teams because they beat the Chargers? I would say no to that question. But I do think that anytime that you have that kind of a scenario and you have your quarterback who's a rookie quarterback and he had pretty good success, I think that that's a feather in the cap of confidence for that guy. Because remember, before the game started, they were talking about is he even going to be able to make it through the game? Because if he was ineffective, they were going to put Garoppolo in. So I kind of look at it like, yeah, this was a confidence booster for the Raiders. The Raiders needed a confidence booster, and they needed it against one of the teams that they have to face all the time because the Chargers have been beating them. So I like the idea that this could be a good starting point for them, but I wouldn't say that they're a fixed football team either.
There you go, Scotty. Beam him up, Webb. Griffin, the great comments there. Ronnie B here in Las Vegas breaking it down for you guys. Let's jump into today's NFL action. Again, being brought to you by our guys over at Fubo TV. Don't get cable to get Fubo TV. Be giving you 15% off. Go to FuboTV.com /JB. So again, today's NFL action. Let's start off with your Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Scotty. They're going up to Green Bay. I looked at this game. I've seen the line come down considerably. Rotation number 313, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, +3.5 on the spread. A little bit more expensive, -120. These odds being brought to you by our friends over at BetUS. If you want to bet online in a legal jurisdiction, you can go to betus.com, use offer code VSX125, and I'll give you a 125% bonus on your initial deposit. It's a great offer and a great deal. Green Bay Packers, rotation number 314, -3.5, even money on the spread, -190 on the money line. It's a relatively expensive proposition for two teams right now that are at 6-7, under 500 records. You're talking, and a lot of times, I would say two turds in a bucket, but these games have playoff implications. If Tampa Bay can win and go to 7-7, they've got a shot in their division. And then on the flip side of that, Green Bay, who we didn't think would do very much after Aaron Rodgers, hanging around that 500 mark at 6-7 with Jordan Love. So I'll throw this one at you, Scotty B. Man, I am. I didn't have my coffee all this morning, people. I appreciate you tuning in. I don't want to confuse you with who is who. But Scotty, beam him up, Webb. Tampa Bay, it's a must-win for them today. The total is 42.5. Is that a bet that you feel like is valuable? Money line or spread? It's going to be tight. Not a lot of value here. But in games where there's a must-win on one side of the game, and it's going to be cold up in Green Bay, can Tampa Bay's defense keep it close and maybe give Baker Mayfield a chance to drive down for a field goal win? I think it's going to be a tight game. Total 42.5. It's going to be a tundra up there today, cold and wet in the Midwest. How do you think that one pans out for Tampa Bay? Go ahead.
Well, Tampa Bay is currently the NFC South division leader, so they're in the playoffs. However, they're tied with, Atlanta and New Orleans and all these teams and all this craziness goes on. And Atlanta's got Carolina today, so you'd figure Atlanta's going to beat Carolina. So yes, Tampa Bay really needs this game. However, I think, Green Bay last week, they showed how they can go out and look really terrible because they went into New York Giants Stadium and they got beat.
Right.
Against DeVito there, and DeVito was the NFC Player of the Week. So what Green Bay team's going to play today? And when you think about the Buccaneers are consistent at what they are and who they are. They play pretty good defense, and they play pretty good offense. They don't have great offense, and they don't have great defense. So I think where this game comes down to it is that you're going to get a Green Bay Packer team that in this particular matchup against Tampa Bay, this is going to be theoretically the easiest opponent that they've had to play at home this season off of their worst performance of the year. So sell, what do they say there? They sell high and buy low.
Right.
So, this is one of those spots where I think you're buying the Green Bay Packers in a low spot. And, you're looking at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers who beat Atlanta last week, but in the last 40 seconds of that game. So I think this is a good spot for Green Bay. I think it's a good spot for Love to get healthy again. Not that the Buccaneers play poor, but, it's just not a good spot for them.
Not a good spot for the Buccaneers. A must-win. Ronnie B talking about that total 42.5. I know you've got your side pick for this game on jbtheticket.com. Guys, pick up those pick packages here in Las Vegas and around the world. Go to jbtheticket.com. $19.99. I'm telling you, it's going to save you a ton of money betting on your own. We don't give you out a bunch of parlays. We give you money lines. We give you spreads. We give you the pick that is going to win. Talking about this total here of 42.5. I've looked at it. I've thought about possibly maybe buying it down just a little bit, maybe 39.5, give myself a little bit of cushion because I worry about the offensive production in a game where weather could be a factor. It's going to be a cold one and Tampa Bay coming out of the South. I know they'll be ready and prepared to play, but just talking about Jordan Love and what he's been able to do in his first year starting, do you think that Baker Mayfield can step up, come back and say, look, this is what we have to do, guys. We can separate ourselves in the NFC South. We got a 3-way tie for first right now. They're in first due to power rankings. But if the Buccaneers can get to 7-7, we talked about this, the NFC South, a 500 team, will most likely be the playoff representative. But go ahead.
Well, JB, I'm going to agree with you on the total here. I don't think 42.5 is something to be afraid of for the under. I don't even think I'd buy any points down or anything else. I just leave it at that. And the under looks good. The weather is a little drizzly, a little cold, and could turn to snow. Baker Mayfield, to me, doesn't put much pressure in cold weather. I don't see it being a problem. Aaron Jones is back for the Packers today, so the running game is going to be in effect. The Tampa Bay defense is ranked pretty good. They only give up about 90 yards a game rushing. So the play for me on that would be the under, the total of 42.5.
Yeah, I mean, 42.5 right now. You talk about a weather perspective. Both of the quarterbacks have similar statistics. Baker Mayfield, 20 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, and Jordan Love with 23 touchdowns and 11 interceptions. Kind of similar on total offense, 225 for Tampa Bay, about 238 for Green Bay. This is an early game. Again, catch this game on CBS and Fubo TV. Go to FuboTV.com/JB, and they're going to be sure to hook you up with that subscription. Let's talk about another game that's been very interesting in a lot of people's minds. New York Giants. Shout out Dan. You know what I mean? I almost called him Danny DeVito. He's not that short. Coffee, people. We need it. We need it. We need it. This DeVito kid from New York. He's got New York with a 5-8 record jumping. I mean, you would think that the New York Giants are going to the Super Bowl. What this guy's doing. But at 5-8 and a tough NFC East, they're plus 5.5 today, going down to a New Orleans team who is right under, again, talking about that NFC South, right under that 500 mark. They're also vying to try and take themselves into first place in that NFC South. I'll throw this one at you, Scotty, beam him up. Webb, when you look at the New Orleans Saints today, again, that NFC South, a lot of parity, 3-way tie as far as record for first place. But you've got a resurgent New York Giants team coming in, 5-8, 5-7 against the spread, 2-5 on the road. Not really looking like a playoff team in my specific idea. They've got Dallas and Philadelphia at 10-3. So you're kind of just looking at the emergence of a young quarterback. Do you want to bet DeVito today and see if Tommy can come out and put some cash in your pocket? Or do you think that this is one of those situations where he takes his first loss on the road, sees what it feels like to lose against a hostile crowd down in New Orleans that are playing for a playoff position? The New Orleans Saints can't afford to lose today. However, at minus 5.5, you're talking about a full touchdown spread win. And if they got to start doing that quarterback round robin, Taysom Hill, Jameis Winston, and the like, it could be a rough day. Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't like what I've seen from the Saints this season because the Saints, talent-wise, they're better than what their record shows. So, you know, I think that offensively they've been mismanaged. I don't think they've done a good job of managing Derek Carr. I don't think they've done a good job of, you know, using the assets that they have available. They got a great wide receiver core. They could match what Cincinnati puts out there. So I think the Saints offensively could be a whole lot better. Defensively, I think they've done pretty well. I don't think they're the worst defense in the league. They're not the best defense in the league, but they're in the top of what I would consider to be some of the good defenses. Now, where we run into a problem here is that, you know, the Giants beat Green Bay, and they played the best game probably that they've played all season. And, you know, they've scored over 20 points 3 times, and one of those was against Washington, and Washington's got the worst defense in the league. And, you know, and the other time it was against Arizona. So, again, a bad offense. But that means they're going to score less than 20 points in this game, probably somewhere, you know, say 17 or less. So if the Giants are scoring 17 or less, and you look at what the New Orleans Saints can do, especially at home. You know, last week they beat Carolina 28-6. The week before that, they played a tough one against Detroit, lost 28-33. But they're scoring 28-24, 28-24 points every time they play at home. So I kind of like the idea here that the Saints are going to cover this number. And the Giants are going to come back to earth a little bit here, and DeVito is going to go back to being DeVito.
Oh, I said DeVito's going to go back to being DeVito. I'll throw this one over at you, Ronnie B. The New York Giants have been a disappointing team season, if you will. Not playoff bound in the toughest division in football, the NFC East. So today is a game for pride. Tommy DeVito is playing to continue his legend and possibly play for the starting position. You got Danny Dimes, Danny Jones. He's not able to go, torn ACL, big money contract, possibly looking at some of those money clawbacks. You know how that goes. They're going to be at the door like, hey, we know we gave you that bread. Did you spend it? New Orleans today, total is short, 39.5. You heard Scotty beam him up, Webb tell you 28-17. It could be scraping right at the under. What do you say there? Go ahead.
Well, JB, as you know, we have this game up on a side on the website today. It's a 5% play for me. I really like one of the sides here.
There you go.
Talking about the total, I looked at it a little bit. It didn't make my card, but I'll tell you what, I got to believe it's going to be an underplay for the players out there that want to bet it. But I'm staying away from it. But I do have a side I like, and again, go to the website. You can get a 5% play for $19.99, and I like this one a lot.
That's right. That's a Christmas gift from Ronnie B telling you can get this play with a few other plays I'll throw in there for you. Got the JB the Ticket weekend package, breaking it down. When we come back from this short commercial break, we're going to be giving you some more picks. The NFL, talking about another game. Going to talk also some Monday Night Football, Battle of the Birds. You got the Eagles flying all the way out to Seattle. So it's going to be a relatively tight day. If you look at some of the spreads, a lot of bad teams are out today. When we get back, we'll talk a little bit about that Kansas City game. I've also got a side on the Chicago-Cleveland game. Go to jbtheticket.com if you want to get that play. It's sure to put cash in your pocket. Only $20 again, people. So again, Ronnie B, quick shout out. Take this short commercial break. Scotty, beam him up, Webb, if you got any plays or any websites you want to promote, and then we'll get back to it. Go ahead.
You go to our website today. I got 2 plays up there. We got a side on the Giants-New Orleans game, and I got a side on the Dallas-Buffalo game. And I'm liking both plays at 5% today, so it's worth a play to come and get it.
Scotty, beam him up, Webb. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, it's getting to be baseball season, and the hot stove thing's starting to kick off some more. So as this starts to shape into form, and December ends, January starts, that'll be my time to get back to putting rosters together and starting to write the preseason baseball book. So keep an eye out on my website, and we'll be putting some stuff out there for where you can get that information.
There you go, Scotty beam him up, Webb, telling you baseball season's right around the corner. Spring training, JB the Ticket, Vegas Scoreboard Express, week 15 in the NFL. When I get back from this short commercial, a.k.a. coffee break, check out my friends over at Coffee Brothers, too. Go to VegasScoreboardExpress.com. I didn't have time to brew some of that delicious coffee that we get from them, but you can this morning. Got a 15% off coupon there for you as well. Keep it locked. Got picks on deck for you. You know what time it is. Time to get the money and wake up early with JB the Ticket. Let's go.
You're listening to the boss of the big ball, JB the Ticket.
Vegas Scoreboard Express. Giving you that grease. Basketball season is heating up, so stay in the game with Fubo TV. Get the NBA, NCAA, FIBA, and more. Get 7 days free at VegasScoreboardExpress.com. Don't get cabled. Get Fubo TV.
Vegas Scoreboard Express, Saturday and Sunday morning at 6 on KSHP North Las Vegas, FM, AM, K29, 6HP North Las Vegas, and KSHP.com. Big Dogs Brewing Company, open 24/7, is an award-winning brewery, a full-service catering business, and a fun, smoke-free brew pub restaurant with a full-service bar, including over 35 craft beers on tap, 35 multi-denomination slot machines, the best gaming promotion, and a lively, dog-friendly outdoor patio. Big Dogs Brewing Company, 4543 North Rancho at Gray. Find out more at BigDogsBrews.com.
Yo, you in the mix. World's finest, man.
And I had to come to him.
The DJ keeping the party going. The DJ keeping the party going all night long.
You're listening to the boss of the big boy, JB the Tech Ass.
Vegas Scoreboard Express.
Giving you that.
Back at you live with my guys, Ronnie B and Scotty. Beam him up, Webb here. Vegas Scoreboard Express, getting you where you want to be. NFL Week 15, got some picks on the line for you. Go to jptheticket.com. Pick those picks up, man. Support the show. Support this process here in Las Vegas. We're the only people doing it live on the radio each and every weekend here in the city with the sports betting. There may be others, but I am the originator, the best, the untouchable, the number one prognosticator with a real voice as well. JB the Ticket back at you here. Ronnie B, Las Vegas, thank you so much for being on the line. Scotty, beam him up. Webb, let's jump into this Kansas City game because the AFC West is another one of these divisions that are wide open. Is where the Raiders are. Again, a crossed finger and angel prayer that these guys could maybe get a wild card. Now they're going up against a 3-10, relatively hapless New England team. They need to put the little man back on the helmet. That's how bad they're playing this year. They've got quarterback issues out the wazoo. They've got a former national champion in Mac Jones. He's getting bench time. Bailey Zapp, he comes in, he gets zapped right back out. Pat Mahomes last week showed some frustration, and this team at 8-5, we expect to see Kansas City around this time of year 12-2, 10-3 at the worst. Now you're telling me that these guys are coming in at 8-5, 4-2 on the road, and with a couple of more losses in the division. If for whatever reason, talking about this rotation number 332, the New England Patriots can pull out a win by one, lose by none situation. I'm not saying that could happen, but any given Sunday, if these guys go to 8-6, is there any chance that Kansas City makes that mistake today? Going up to Boston? Go ahead. Ronnie B.
Oh, okay, JB. I'll tell you what, this game, the line's moving down. It was 9.5 to open up. It's down to 8.5. The Kansas City Chiefs showed me last week that they have emotional breakdown happening within the team, making mistakes after mistakes, can't catch the ball, can't score points. They can't get over that 21, 22-point total. So in this game today, I'm not sure what the weather is, but KC on the road, New England's defense is pretty good. I don't have the ability to pull the trigger on New England, but I do have the ability to pull the trigger on under the total 37.5. I think this could be a black and blue game, defensive struggle on both sides.
Right. You're talking about one of these teams right now and the Kansas City Chiefs. You talk a little bit about the mistakes being made. I know a lot of people may not agree with me. A lot of people may not think this affects things, but I've been around this game of football for over 25 years. Rest in peace, my beloved cousin, Whiteville High School's greatest, Chester McLaughlin, former Raider, former New York Jet. So since I was real young tyke, and one of the things that I learned about football from even in myself, being in and around the league and now, having this radio show for the last 4 or 5 years, is that when you have outside influences that can match the prominence and the newsworthiness of the NFL with a specific team, it can always go bad for you. I remember when San Francisco was struggling with the Kaepernick situation, but I also go back to the Tony Romo And if I'm not mistaken, it was Britney Spears, right? Tony Romo, Britney Spears, a couple years ago. Back in the day, something happened where he went to a Cancun vacation. No, it was Jessica Simpson. Sorry about that. It wasn't Britney Spears. It was Jessica Simpson. Thank you to my online producer sending that to me. He went on a trip with Jessica Simpson, okay? Came back, and the Cowboys got obliterated. And Tony Romo has been in the broadcast booth ever since. And when you talk about this situation with the Kansas City Chiefs, Taylor Swift is a global superstar. I thought this thing would be kind of a fizz flash in the pan, maybe a few Instagram posts, but it seems like it could be real. And you haven't seen this in the NFL in the longest time, okay, where a superstar player, talking about Travis Kelce, their star tight end for Kansas City, he's gotten an entanglement with the Swifties. And part of that frustration, again, looking at Pat Mahomes, his wife is like best friends with this chick. They're starting to hang out. It's tough when you go home and your teammate and that lifestyle, that TMZ, not football related, is coming in. And we haven't seen that. I mean, Travis Kelce, he's always been who he is as a character, but now he seems to be coming to his own as an individual celebrity, a brand, if you will. But I think that the circus has kind of affected him. Kansas City was always a Kansas City football team. I mean, Kansas City is known for barbecue and football. Okay, they're not known for concerts and, media frenzy and all that. So I think that could have an effect on this team. And I think it might have an effect on Travis Kelce. Call me crazy, but I'm a guy. I'm a guy's guy. And when you get into a situation like this where he's got to spend time maybe that may have been thinking about football, and now you've got, the most famous girl in the world on your arms, you tell me you step on a football field, that's not affecting you. All the way back from high school, we all saw it. Star quarterback, star football player, top cheerleader. Top cheerleader breaks up with him. You guys get beat by 15 from an 0-6 team. Just telling you a little short story from mine from high school. But anyway, you realize that this is a situation where Kansas City has to say, if you want to repeat as Super Bowl champions, if you want to get back into the playoff hunt, you got Denver at 7-7. The Raiders coming up in their following week, Kansas City. If Kansas City loses today, which a lot of people don't think they will, but it is a road game. East Coast is full of storms. It's cold. Kansas City can handle all that, but they've got a good defense. At -10.5, super expensive. -560 on the money line. I'm going to throw this one at you, Scotty. Beam 'em up, Webb. Got about 5 minutes left here. The final game we're going to talk about, the Kansas City Chiefs. Is this team going to have the same issues that the Dallas Cowboys had in that year where it's not that late in the season, NFC Championship game, that's kind of where that happened. But you look at it from that perspective and you see Travis Kelce's production. You see when you hear about him, it's less about football and more about what he's wearing and where he's flying to. And I'm not knocking him. Do your thing, baby boy. Do your thing. But when it comes to football and some of the frustrations that we're seeing around the team, you know how it is with guys. Guys in that locker room are talking. They're ribbing on him, and they haven't been winning. Go ahead.
Well, I think that this is a weird. I shouldn't say weird. This is a Chiefs team that is trying to find its way, and I think that the Travis Kelce stuff is going to happen no matter what. I mean, it's just part of nature when you have, maybe a future Hall of Fame tight end and dating the most popular girl in the world. So, it's just gonna be natural that those kind of things happen. I don't think that maybe has been the problem in Chiefs Kingdom. I think the problem in Chiefs Kingdom is their wide receivers. You throw them the ball and they drop it all the time. They run the wrong routes. They go the wrong way. And, I think that you feel a lot of frustration on that team. Now, having said that, I think in this particular spot, what happened in that game against Buffalo with that last, the play that, they had an offside thing with the wide receiver there lined up wrong, cost them the touchdown to win the game. I think they're going to come into this game very heated, very hot, very very wanting to get some blood. So anyway, I think the Chiefs are a pretty dangerous team today. Looking at numbers and the common sense kind of things that there says, look, yes, New England won last week, but at the same time, this is the same team that can't score more than 10 points in a game. So I think that they're going to run into a buzzsaw today, and this could be one of those games that maybe not saying Kansas City gets right against this defense, but if they go out and they score 24 points and the other team can't score 10, there you go.
There you go. You're talking about the Kansas City Chiefs. One of the things I noticed with the Chiefs is they don't have that offensive juggernaut that they had back in the day. Okay. No Tyreek Hill. He's down in Miami. They lost him. They're talking about, Pat Mahomes wasn't inviting him to the house. Their running back, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, we haven't seen much out of him. They've got Kadarius Toney off the scrap heap from the New York Giants. Their offense is the problem, and that, I think, is the frustration of Travis Kelce. And they were humming along with Mahomes to Kelce, but not having that deep threat, not being able to open up the playbook. Teams are able to key in on Pat Mahomes, and I think that if the defense of the New England Patriots gives it their all today, this is basically their Super Bowl, okay? You got the chance to upend the Super Bowl champions with one of the worst records in the league. I think that's going to be a motivating factor. Why I'm telling people the New England Patriots are my dog of the day. Take the +10. It's cold, 3 yards, and a cloud of mud water. This is what I think is going to happen in this game. And with Bill Belichick getting knocked on to get out of the house, to get out of the door. You're old, you're long in the tooth, man. We're losing. This ain't no fun. I feel that just the competition between him and Andy Reid is going to be a personal coaching thing. You got 2 Super Bowl championship coaches going head to head. One is at home, one is on the road struggling. The one at home knows he's struggling. But I think this would be another notch in the belt for Bill Belichick to beat Andy Reid one more time, because they're not going to be seeing him in the playoffs this year. That's a guarantee. But just to beat Andy Reid one more time, and that's why I'm telling you. I'm not telling you go money line, but if they can get inside of that point spread, there may have a chance. Guys, we're going to have a great Sunday weekend. Thank you so much for stopping by the big board, hanging out with me all morning. Scotty, beam him up, Webb. From the East Coast Sports Investors and MLB-Daily.com. Follow him on Twitter, the X, at Webby20MLB. Got about 30 seconds. Scotty, give your best shout out, best play of the day, and then we'll get you on your way down in Tampa Bay. Go ahead.
Yeah, hey, I appreciate being on this morning, JB, and I tend to like the Cleveland Browns today. I think the Browns are going to be good.
He likes the Cleveland Browns. He's saying go Browns. Ronnie B, Las Vegas, cheap handicapper here at jbtheticket.com. Don't forget to get the packages. Follow the show on Instagram at jbtheticket. Go to jbtheticket.com. Get the picks, plays. I've got coupons. I've got deals. All kinds of cool stuff for you there. Las Vegas and all around the world. And my main man, Ronnie B, what's your best play of the day? And then I'm sure you're going to get all the way over to the Rampart, a.k.a. the Marriott, and make some money. Go ahead.
Yes, I am today. I'm going to give a prop bet today. I'm going to play it myself. I like the team total 29 over for the Los Angeles Rams. I think they'll run up and down on that Washington defense.
Likes the Rams taking that team total over. Guys, thank you so much for stopping by the big board. Again, all of you folks out there in Radio Land, go to my website, jbtheticket.com, VegasScoreboardExpress.com. Follow the show on Instagram at jbtheticket. Want to give one last shout out. Brother-in-law, Dr. Steve, got it done this week. PhD, dropping diamonds on your shorties. What's going on, Grace? You'll see what I do when you get out to Vegas. You'll be like, oh my God, he's really inside of a radio studio. I'm like, that's right. That's right. And then when you guys have kids, another Uncle JB. Line up, add the babies to the list. So again, guys, have a great morning here in Las Vegas. All you sports bettors around the world, grab your bankroll, hit the window, get to the window, and beat the line. We'll be back next week. Get the money.
You're listening to the boss of the big board,